Hey guys, so today we thought we'd show you what our plumbing situation looks like right now. We have our fresh water underneath the bed, and we are almost done with being totally done with plumbing that. We still have to do the gray tanks and mount the tanks underneath the bus and then plumb all the runoff, but that's a few days away. But I did want to show you guys what we've been using in terms of plumbing, what tubing we decided to go with, what connections we decided to go with, because there was a reason we went for those. When I first started, I had no idea what I was doing. As far as the plumbing goes, I still don't, honestly, but it works, and that's the most important part, right? So what we've been using has been this 1/2-inch PEX tubing, this stuff right there. It's this kind of this flexible, plasticky tubing that is, like I said, flexible. So this is a short piece, so it can't bend very much, but when you have like a few feet of it, it can actually maneuver and bend and flex very easily, and it's designed to be able to do that. So if you're in a bus and you're moving around and this stuff kind of wiggles, it's fine. It's not going to start to leak just because of that fact. So that's why we went with these. It's been super easy to use. A couple people recommended them to us, and yeah, we're super pleased. We've been using these in conjunction with these fittings. So these fittings are Sharkbite push-to-connect fittings. It cannot be simpler than this. I don't think, anyway. So this is what the bag looks like, Sharkbite. And it says push-to-connect up there. It's 1/2-inch by 1/2-inch. This is a 90-degree elbow. And basically all this is a way for the tubing to just nest into and move water. The inside of these have like this plastic fitting inside that actually fits inside the inner diameter of the PEX tubing. And so very easy. Take your tubing, push it inside. Make sure it's a good fit. There we go. And you can kind of feel like a two-stage click, a two-stage nesting. They make, I think Sharkbite makes this plastic thing, it's about yay big, that has slots for different sized pieces of PEX tubing. And the idea is you put the tubing into that nest and then write, like mark with a Sharpie or something, how far it went in. And that's your go, no-go line. If it's right there, then you're set. It's a good, solid connection. If it's here, that means it's not far enough into the fitting to have a watertight seal and you need to start over. I didn't buy one of those because that sounds like a waste of money to me. I put the PEX tubing in, push it as far as I can in. I can feel a tactility to it. That's a two-stage connection. And I have not had a single leak because of this connection. I've had leaks for other reasons, but not because of the push to connect. So I'm very pleased with these. It's very easy to use, and it's also removable. And you can also put this in wet or dry, which is really awesome. You don't need any additional, that I know of, you don't need any like putty or anything else to make a good watertight connection. You push it in and it's finished. And that's why we went with these push to connect fittings, is because they are so incredibly easy to use. And they can be removed easily. So this is the piece that I had to run to Lowe's for. I already lost one, you can see, because it's so small. But basically this is just a disconnect clip. All you do is put this clip onto the PEX like so, and then push it against this collar, this plastic collar around the fitting. Push against it, pull the tubing away. Too short. There we go. It helps if it's not at an angle, if it's pulling out perfectly. But then, yeah, you just pull it out, and then you can start over again. You could use both this tubing and the connector again. To cut the PEX tubing, there are a few things that you need, or a few choices, I should say. This is one of those choices. Tends to be one of the cheaper options. All this is a piece of plastic with a razor blade inside. To cut the tubing that you need, measure it out, fit it inside this plastic handle. And then on the handle, you can actually see some arrows pointing in the direction that you need to rotate the cutter so that you can get a clean cut. Once you have everything installed, you wrap it around and make a few revolutions. There we go. And then it's a really nice, clean ending. So then you can put that into your push to connect. You're good to go. So like I said, we're really pleased with the performance of these push-to-connect fittings. They're not cheap. They're, you know, I think this one costs 12. It's like they're between, like, all of them are like between $7 and $15. But they just work, and they work really easily. And so if I had to do this whole thing over again, I'd still use these. So it's been great. This is literally all, pretty much all I've used for the majority of our plumbing is this stuff. Tubing, these push-to-connect fittings, cutter, and disconnect clip. That's it. It's taken me a while anyway because I've had to learn as I go and make mistakes, but if these weren't so simple, I probably would have, it would have taken me even longer. So very pleased with all of those. Alright guys, so I figured I'd give you a tour of what our plumbing system looks like right now. This will be number 1 in a 2-part series because we still have to plumb the gray tanks, but we do have all of our freshwater plumbed. Here's what we got going on. So we have this is our inlet. This is where we have city water with city water pressure comes in. And then we have a gravity feed tube, this guy. So water just comes into that tube, into our tanks. These tanks, this was originally the only one we had. This was, I think, 46 gallons. And then we decided to add another 20 gallons to that so that we could have just a little bit more. So we have around 66, 67 gallons, something like that. All we did was connect them with some clear tubing with screw clamps. I don't know if that's the right word for them or not, but that's what we used, and it's watertight, works really well, 0 leaks, so that's nice. These 2 tanks, so they're connected, but they also have to be vented, and so that's where these 2 systems come in. So these 2 thread knobs, we got these tanks from Class A Customs, and so they come with these 1/2 inch fittings and 1.5 inch fittings. And so we're using every fitting that comes with these tanks except for this one. So I don't know what, if anything, we'll do with that, but that's what we have. These, they have to be vented because if you've got water coming in, it's gonna try to push the air that's inside of these tanks out. And if the air has nowhere to go, then it has potential to like pop and explode. So you have to vent them, and so that's where these come in. So these tubes are not meant to transport water, they're just meant to transport air, and then they take along this line into the outlet. If they end up, you know, rocking, sloshing, and filling up with water, they can always just slide back into the tanks after they're finished. There's a braided tube that goes from the main tank into our pump. We have a SureFlow 4008 model, the E65 4008. Water comes in through this line from the tanks, through the pump, and gets pushed out here. This line, right here, that is our city pressure. We screw in a garden hose into this with a filter and everything on the outside. Water comes through here, and the city pressure, it just bypasses the pump entirely. City pressure goes through here and then gets pushed through these other pieces of PEX tubing. This goes to the faucet up in the kitchen, and this goes to the water heater. So that's our garage right now. I realized, I was thinking about it and realized if our pump breaks, we don't have any way to get the water out of our tanks, which is a problem. If our pump is broken, we're kind of screwed. So I added in a drain, and that also helps get rid of the water in these tanks without running the pump for forever and ever. Hopefully to prolong its life. So if we need to, we can use this drain. All this is just more PEX tubing. It comes in here, goes out that direction. Then there is a valve there. It's a ball valve, and so all you have to do is turn that this way so that it's lined up with the tubing, and then these tanks get drained. As far as the tanks are concerned, like as far as being situated and mounted, this is how we've got it going. So on the sides and on the back, we're using pieces of wood. Right now we just have 1 screw in them, but I'll put in a few other screws. But basically, those are there, screwed down to the floor, just to make sure that the tanks can't move left and right. Like if we hit a bump and the tanks want to move that way, they can't. Same is true for the back. And I haven't done it yet, but I've got two pieces of 2x4s that we're going to put here, one on that one and one on this one. So that means they just can't move left, right, front, back. And then we have these U-brackets. I don't know what to call them really, but I'll call them a U-bracket. I'll show you this one. So these I installed, so I actually drilled through the subfloor, through the insulation, and out through the actual metal flooring of the bus. And on those I have ratchet straps. Very, very taut. These are seriously heavy duty. They're not going anywhere. It would take 900 pounds for these to snap, and each of these even together don't add up to that, even when they're full. So right now we're connected to city water. That means that we have a hose coming from our house directly into the bus, and through a screw fitting is coming in right there. You can kind of see it from the outside what that looks like. That goes down and around. As you can see, the water's on right now as far as coming out of the house. Fortunately, we don't have any leaks in here, so pressure has built up and is putting pressure back into the house, so there's no water running anywhere, but we still have pressure. So that means we can run water like so. Pretty good pressure coming out of the city too, which is great. Now, this faucet, we got this faucet because A, it looked cool, but B, it also has this great articulating neck and actually can come out in a bunch of different ways. One of those ways is like an outdoor shower. That's cool and everything, and we'll probably put a fitting on it so that it can actually stay mounted and facing outside. But for right now, that works really well as an outdoor shower. Now, it's cold water only, but typically that's when you need an outdoor shower anyway, is when it's hot outside. You just got through with a hike and you just need to hose off and feel better, and that's one way you can do it. We also have another outdoor shower. So this is how our current system works. Okay, so we're at the garage right now, and you can see kind of how we have our lines set up. That's the pump over there. Cold water comes through this way and up into our EcoTemp hot water heater. This is the L10 rather, and technically it is an outdoor water heater, but this is about as close to being outdoors as you can get while it's also being inside technically. It's funny, EcoTemp has some marketing issues, shall we say, from the Amazon, like this is their Amazon store. Part of the bullet point said that the L10 is an indoor-outdoor hot water heater. It also says that on the box, indoor-outdoor. As soon as you start reading the instructions, it says blatantly that it is an only outdoor heater, and doesn't really give you any options to vent it. There are ways to vent it, but it doesn't talk about that. It just says, nope, use it outside only. So we thought that was a little odd. It was a little frustrating, but our setup right here, the way this is going to work out, we're kind of happy with the way that these showers are going to work. We're going to shower pretty much only with this door open. And so we have a propane tank screws in here. We'll build a carriage for the propane tank to live on the outside. The L10 has been great so far. Just a little annoyed at the idea that they're not very clear about whether this is an indoor or outdoor unit, and it does matter, because if it's an outdoor unit only and doesn't have anywhere to vent and you're using it on the inside in a small space, it can kill you. That's why we don't like using propane very much. This is literally the only appliance that is being powered off of propane. Everything else is either electric or alcohol or something else non-pressurized. Anyway, so we'll have the door open when we take a shower so that it has some ventilation. I'm going to be putting some steel behind it as like a heat shield. But yeah, this is how it works. And what's nice, how it works is there are 2 D batteries right underneath there, so you don't even have to hook it up to your electricity. And those 2 D batteries are basically power the lighter, the igniter. When it feels water going through these pipes, and this is of course turned to on, it feels water flowing through, and so then it lights up the interior elements, and so water passes through this whole thing and gets heated pretty much immediately. Alright, so now we're on the inside. We're in the bathroom right now. The garage is right through here. Obviously this wall is not done yet. That's the hot water heater, and then after the water passes through the hot water heater, it goes through that red tube, through here, up, and right into the shower head. But if we want, we can use the shower in here, or we can use an outdoor shower. Use this as an outdoor shower, which is what we'd have to do right now since we don't have the gray tank plumbed. Point this outside, flip this to the on position, and we have another outdoor shower. And it's going through the heater right now. It's going through the EcoTemp, but because it doesn't have any power connected, it's not trying to light itself, it's not using any power, it's not using any gas, and the water coming out is cool, because it's just city water. So anyway, that's how we're doing things right now. I'll shut this off. Just like so. And I actually really like seeing the lines coming in. It's kind of has like a beach sauna kind of vibe to it. I don't know, I really like that. But yeah, that's how our hot water works. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate you guys checking everything out. We went over a lot today. It was a long video, but the system works, and hopefully somebody can find that useful. If you have questions, please let us know in the comments. We're happy to answer them there, or if we think enough people could really benefit from them, then we'll include that in our next video, because we are going to do another video for the gray tank. This was kind of our freshwater video. We really appreciate all of the engagement that you guys are giving us, comments, likes, subscriptions, are getting more patrons, so that's very kind of you guys. We really appreciate all of the support and all of the interaction that we get from everyone. It's a wonderful community to be a part of, and we're happy to contribute. So let us know what questions you have. Like I said, we might include them in the next video, but for now, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time. Bye.